April and September, expect to see tight, close quarter racing. The Porsche Esports Supercup.
And away we go for the feature race of the Porsche Esports Supercup round 5, and it's a good start from Holtzman. Phil Sell gets up alongside him. De Jong having to hold him behind for the time being as they go through turn number 1 into turn number 2. This is where we saw a couple of little incidents in the first race. Hopefully everybody can get through that one so far. In fact, we've lost one driver so far from this one. That's Lauren Heinrich is out of the race after turn 1 incident, but everyone else making their way through, and it's going to be a battle for the lead for the time being. Phil Sell having to slot in behind, trying everything, trying different lines to get the run out of this corner, but he's running out that little bit wide. I don't think he's quite got the move done, and well, De Jong, he's got a man on the mission here. He's wanted to get up to the front of this pack and to try and make the moves. He's got the slipstream of Phil Sell and Holtzman. Phil Sell going for the race lead early on in this one around the outside of turn number 8. We've seen moves work there, but not this time, not in the opening lap. De Jong gets a little touch from behind, and that was Beneke. Beneke's actually run wide, and Carroll has gone through on him. So Beneke losing positions as they go through to end the lap 1. There's flash of the headlights from Beneke. He's not happy with something, and Carroll has actually got ahead of Carroll again. Benito is putting pressure on the Scotsman as well as, the 23 Carroll Franchak. Great start from him into 7th place. Jamie Fluke has dropped down to 8th in this early going here, but it's battling in the pack here. Jeremy Bootland trying to get involved on Fluke here as well. You'd think this was the start of the sprint race here, Connery, because these drivers are all keen to make up positions. Oh, and by the way, Joshua Rogers is up to 12th.
Oh no! Contact between two teammates. That's Camel Franchak spinning towards the grass, helped out by Nowakowski, and Rogers, he got caught up in that one. Huge shunt to the right-hand side door of the Australian. He'll drop all the way back to the back of the field. That's huge drama. All he needed to do was play it safe in this race, but through no fault of his own, bang, into the gravel, up and towards the tyres as well. Joshua Rogers, he's crabbing across the circuit. His race is done.
And this is what happens if you start further down the field in these races, in these big pack races. You end up just one little mistake from somebody in front of you. You get caught up in the incident, and before you know it, you're heading to the scene of the accident, and that's exactly what's happened there. And well, Josh Rogers, this is going to be crucial. If he DNFs this race, that's going to be a massive hit for him in this championship. But we will carry on now, looking forward, and it's Max Beneke. He's there on his own with Graham Carroll behind him, but looking forward, Patrick Holtzman getting a little bit wide out of turn number 3, and Jared Phil Sell, he smells blood in the water. It's Germany versus Australia as they head into Moss Corner, and this double apex right-hander, tricky one to get right. Get on the power on the exit, and that's exactly what Phil Sell does, but I just don't think he's quite close enough to make the most of that slipstream. But the key thing here is, Connery, he's got time to make these moves because he's got another 26.5 minutes in this race.
Yeah, that's just what the main race allows you to do, allows you to plan out your moves a little bit more, gives the drivers further back to the field that are out of position more time to get themselves up into a more representative finishing position here. But Phil Sell, he's not letting things rest too much here. He's just hounding the back of Patrick Holtzman as he heads his way through to take lap 4 here. The start of it, at least, down in towards turn 1. There's a little bit of confusion further back as well. This is going to be Nowakowski on the outside of Kevin Ellis Jr. on that inside line. So the Polish driver, Nowakowski, trying to make things work around the outside there, but not able to hold on. He was one of the drivers involved, and in the instant that caught up Joshua Rogers, so he'll continue to actually fall back through the field here with the front end damage that he has to his Porsche. We have a little bit of a look at Redline Driver as well. That's going to be Enzo Benito chasing Graham Carroll down towards turn 5. Such an interesting portion of the racetrack as you go down the hill, then back up the hill for the braking zone. You're turning as well through turn 5 while all those elevation changes are going on. Such a tricky portion of the racetrack there as Benito tries to chase down Carroll. Not going to be able to be in a position to perhaps have a go at any point here. He's gonna need to be like at least another half a car length, arguably closer, to be able to make anything work. But with 25 minutes remaining, as you alluded to a little bit earlier on, Paul, there's no need to go for these early desperate moves.
That's it, let everything calm down that little bit. It's just take a hold and take stock of what's happened and where you are in this race. Look at where the weaknesses are of the driver in front that you're trying to overtake. I mean, the fact that Patrick Holtzman keeps on going onto the grass on the exit in the final corner and on the exit of turn 1 just say to me that he's under pressure and he's trying to keep as much of that minimum corner speed up as possible. And that's what's happening here. Through turn 3 now, they go. And Holtzman is using every inch and that little bit more of the track at the front. Benito and Carroll, they're side by side. And there's the inevitable rub of doors. And Benito, great driving, great car handling there to keep a hold of that one. And he's dropped himself down to 7th. Jamie Flick's got the run out the corner now, so that's going to be 8th place for Benito. We'll look at it on board here then, and they're coming through turn number 4. Not quite, well, Benito was leaving a little bit of room there for Graham Carroll. And well, that just meant that with how those cars go through there, the one tracked out into the other, and just that little bit of contact and a half, not even a half spin, a quarter spin there for Enzo Benito. Well held, and he's managed to keep himself out of trouble and into 8th place, but he's right ahead of Matt Cronke, and of course his tyres are going to have a bit more heat into them now here. It's not going to be feeling ideal for Enzo. Jeremy Bootloop, by the way, great drive from him so far. He's up to 6th place, and now he's the one putting the pressure on Graham Carroll here.
Yeah, absolutely awesome from the Frenchman so far in this race. Started in P10, making his way up. Easy does it for one of the many VRS Grand Sim Sport drivers in this particular series. And looks like Bootloop might just be able to get himself up inside the top 5 here, because Carroll has made a mare of that first sector. So Bootloop is able to catch right back up to the back bumper of the car ahead of him. Not going to be able to do anything. 6, but with the slightly wider line taken there from Bootloop through turn 6, this will pay dividends now coming down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Just sitting in that slipstream. Carroll has none of his own to use, so he's a little bit of a sitting duck here in this sort of situation. Bootloop, outside line taken. This has been the preferred line to make moves down into here. Bootloop almost goes very late on the brakes. Carroll, though, somehow holds on that inside. He's going to be slow through the exit of this particular corner. Bootloop had the run, but no space to be able to make it work. It will still be Carroll ahead as they head the way across the line to take lap 7.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was compromising the exit of the corner just to make sure he stayed ahead for Graham Carroll. And that's exactly what he did, and he did it to perfection as well, as these two still battling on as you go through turn 1 and 2. Jeremy Bootloop, that little bit of a tighter line for him through turn 2 here compared to Graham in front. And it's interesting to see how the different styles, the different ways of driving between the Frenchman and the Scotsman is really showing through here. Bootloop is holding those tighter lines. He's not using quite as much of the track as Graham as they go down into Moss Corner again. Will there be a move under the braking? No, there won't. So Bootloop staying right up behind, but we'll look forward. That race lead, it's still Patrick Holtzman ahead of Jared Filsell, with Mitchell de Jong in 3rd place. They've just been staying as they are at the moment, and Holtzman has actually been able to pull out just that little bit of a gap. It's 0.3 of a second between the two of them. The slipstream comes into play there down the straight, but right now they can't do it, as further back we've got side-by-side action with Carroll and Bootloop as well. They're still battling away. There they are on screen, and well, into the final corner. Carroll, he's got the inside for the final corner. He's going to hang on. Oh, look at that sideways moment for Butler. Here's the opportunity now for Jamie Fluke. He's not got the run around the outside. He's got Enter Benito right behind him as well, and you can see how one little mistake, just one little twitch, and everybody's all over you here, Connery. As look, Benito, he's looking menacing behind Fluke. He's trying to make moves back forward again after that contact with Graham Carroll. It's a good little battle pack here for 5th down to 9th place.
It very much is. Carroll still leading the way in this particular train, though. And if you remember back to the pro qualifying series, to get yourself into this series, it was Graham Carroll that put up the fantastic defense at the end of the race to be able to hold position. He needs to do so again on arguably a much, much bigger stage here if he's going to hold on to a top 5 finish. Bootloop has been looking threatening. Same with Jamie Fluke and Benito as well. So exactly as you said, Paul, if anyone steps a foot out of line, then you're going to be hounded and harassed through these corners up towards turn 8. No moves being made. We had a little bit of a moment perhaps with Jeremy Bootloop looking for a move, but he tucks back in line, so it's all a single file snake coming through this final sector, and a little bit of an ultimate line taken there coming up towards the final corner before you get yourself onto lap number 9 then for these guys. And it's still the status quo all the way through this one. There's a little bit of a battle pack going on behind as well, involving the likes of Iscard, Cholak, Ellis Jr., Sanchez in that particular order. So battle packs forming. You've got that train for the race lead, a train for what will be P number 5 on circuit, and then we have one that's going to be for P11 and back as well. So everyone's just separating themselves out into their own little groups.
Yeah, and this is what's great about this series, is the fact that everyone is going to be battling all the way through, because especially... Race lead.
Holtzman!
Yeah, well, Holtzman, what on earth has happened to him there? Because he's lost 2 positions to Phil Sell and to De Jong. We'll have a look, and it's going to be a mistake, you imagine, or a little bit of contact. We'll have a look on the replay. So, as they go out of 3 into turn number 4, everything's fine here. It's going to be down into Moss Corner, because that is one place where you can make mistakes. He was under intense pressure. There he is, just runs out wide onto the dirt. So easily done there at that corner, and that loses him 2 places. So Phil Sell now in the lead ahead of De Jong, with Holtzman in 3rd place, and that's really stirred things up. Beneke's battling, and look at this battle here. Further back, Carroll still holding on to 5th place ahead of Jeremy Bootloop. Jamie Fluke is putting the pressure on as well as Benito, so it's a really close battle pack here as they come down the hill in turn 2. They're almost together. You can almost put a towel over them. They're that close together as they go through turn number 3. And Carroll still ahead of Jeremy Bootloop, putting in this incredible defensive display. Here is the Scotsman down the hill. Jeremy Bootloop from France, trying to put all the pressure on here as they go through Moss Corner once again, but he's in that difficult position of having to attack in front but defend from behind, because Jamie Fluke is hanging around as well as up near the front as well. So you've got this side by side, you've got a side by side for the lead as well in your race here, and it's going to be Jeremy Butler trying to make it through into 5th, but looking forward as well, and we have got a change of race lead on the timing screen here. I can see it, and there it is. Contact between Phil Sell, between De Jong. Holtzman was almost involved in that one as well. They're back up and running. Beneke now suddenly finds himself in 2nd place. This battle pack that we've been watching of Graham Carroll, they're now on this one. We've got Beneke trying to make the move on Holtzman, and there's contact between the 2 of them. This is incredible action. What on earth is happening? Everybody's losing their heads here. So all of a sudden Beneke now finds himself in the lead. Well, good luck talking us through the replay of this one.
I'll try my best, but look at this. Battle for the race lead through the final corner. There's Phil Sell looking for the... Well, not looking for anything, I don't think. He simply ran into the back of Mitchell de Jong coming off the corner. Holtzman having to take avoiding action across the grass. That's Benecke hopping his way all the way through as well. And if we get the view towards the front of these guys, there's coming the way through turn 1 up towards turn 2. Holtzman trying to hold position for the race lead. And then Benecke looking for a little bit of a cutback coming through turn 3, but completely miscalculates it. That's the Red Bull Racing Esports driver around. That's Benecke up into P1. But the thing is, Mitchell de Jong is now back in the battle for the race lead, and so is Jared Philsell. This keeps going up and down like a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go back to live pictures. There it is. So Benecke in first place, de Jong second, Philsell third. Jeremy Butler now finds himself in fourth place because he's got ahead of Graham Carroll in all of that. Enzo Benito sixth place with Cronke seventh. Fluke has actually dropped down to eighth place here with Gregor Hutu now. So we've got a queue of cars first to ninth covered by 3 seconds as we hit the halfway point of this race. 15 minutes remaining in this one, and well, these drivers are giving us some drama here today in this race, and I tell you what, they're going to see some more fireworks in this one, and I think there'll be a few fireworks after the race as well with this one, because there's been plenty of action going on. Jared Philsell, he'll want to try and make the move again on de Jong, but de Jong now, he'll be thinking twice about leaving the door open to Philsell, and he'll also want to stop him from trying to push his way through as well. But they've got to be careful, because Benecke, if they start fighting amongst themselves, Benecke will pull away at the front here. He's got the talent, he's got the skill to be able to do that as they come through the final corner. And those three are still pretty close together as they come through, but this is fantastic action, and this is what we expected from the Porsche Esports Super Cup. Action aplenty in this one. Maybe not the contacts that we would have wanted, but certainly the action here.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe not the contacts, but the drama, the action, then I definitely won't be complaining. But this is absolutely crazy. We still have just under 15 minutes left in this race, and still so much potential for pretty much anything to happen at this stage. It's absolutely crazy. But right now, Benecke leads the way from de Jong, from Philsell. 3-car scrap at the front of the field. Boot loop. Carroll, Benito not too far away either. So pretty much anyone inside of this top 9 here could potentially get themselves up onto the podium here if the right set of circumstances arise. You can see the view on the back of Maximilian Benecke all the way back to the American of Mitchell de Jong. And this is just going to be a case of how much damage has each of these cars incurred. It doesn't seem to be all that much, at least from the perspective of Maximilian Benecke. He has a little bit of damage to the rear left of that car. But de Jong looking relatively okay as well. Philsell been in the wars, but he has a pretty clean car as well. So despite all the contact and all the carnage that has been happening, it seems like most of these drivers that are still fighting for the podium positions here are still near 100% in terms of their car healthiness, not too damaged at all. So that is going to just spice things up a little bit more here for the final 12 minutes of this race. But Maximilian Benecke, he's had such a lackluster season so far in this one, or at least in the first couple of events. He finally had a pretty good week, pretty good day at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve a couple of weeks ago, a P2 in the sprint race and a P3 in the main race. But for Benecke, this is where his season starts to turn around even further if he can get this race win here today.
Well, as we see the top 3 just spreading out that little bit, I will say the biggest loser out of all of that action that happened was Patrick Holtzman. He's dropped down to 12th place. We'll look at Gregor Hutu. He's up behind Jamie Fluke. So the Finnish driver of Hutu, very experienced World Championship driver, running it through the final corner, trying to put the pressure on the Northern Irishman of Jamie Fluke ahead. Look at those positions gained, by the way, on the left-hand side of your screen. Look at that That's Piatello up 16 positions out of all this. Sebastian Job, we've not really talked about. He's up into 20th place after starting at the back after getting having that incident, that tank slapper in race number 1. We have got a number of retirements though, it's worth pointing out. Lauren Heinrich, David Williams, Joshua Rogers, Kemal Franchek, Ricardo Castrolado is on pit road, and actually Pash Jurgis has just gone onto pit road as well, so quite a few retirements there. But there's your top 8 on screen. Max Benecke in the lead ahead of Mitchell de Jong, Jared Filsell in 3rd place ahead of Jeremy Bootloop in 4th, Graham Carroll and Enzo Benito 5th and 6th. Those two have been inseparable all afternoon here, with Martin Kroenke and Jamie Fluke rounding out the top 8, but Fluke under pressure from behind. Meanwhile, we'll look forward. Jared Filsell is trying to, it's de Jong trying to make the move on Benecke here, so Benecke's been reeled in here. Benito, by the way, fastest lap of the race, so that's interesting to see the Italian able to get the fastest lap so far, but de Jong just run it out that little bit wide. That'll cost him a 10th or so as they go into turn number 1. And as I say about the fastest lap, Jared Filsell now with the fastest lap of this race. So it's the fuel is coming out of this car, and tyre degradation is pretty good in this car as well, because it is a GT style car. So you don't have to, you can push those tyres that little bit more. But de Jong has now got Filsell all over the back of him. He's coming under pressure here, and that 2nd place is really coming under threat here, Connery.
Yep, it is. Filsell down into turn 5. Not going to be looking for anything. He can just follow tightly to that Mitch de Jong ahead of him. Out of turn 6 as well. That's going to be where Benecke hasn't really been particularly strong, so he'll fall back into the clutches of these guys a little bit through this back straight. And with de Jong with the slipstream, he might just have a bit of a look. You can see ahead of us on that onboard, de Jong looking for a little bit of a move around the outside, darts back in line. So Benecke is pretty safe for now, but Filsell, he's looking to get stuck in there in that Apex Racing Porsche. Coming up through the final corner for the Australian. We'll have a look further back as well. There's a battle between what's going to be Antoine Higeland and Marin Cholak here. Higeland, of course, having to start at the back of the grid for the sprint race. He's one of those drivers that has been working themselves up from the back of the grid thanks to a qualifying ban here, on the edge of getting himself in towards the top 10. Not a bad run at all for Antoine, but Cholak, he's had a very good event so far today as well, so I don't think he won't be giving up this position too easily.
Yeah, the Croatian in front of the Frenchman there in that battle further down your field for 12th and 13th. Look at this here, Martin Kroenke. We're on board with him as they head into Moss once again. He's got Enzo Benito ahead of him, Graham Carroll in front of him, Jeremy Bootloop. It's a whole queue of cars trying to get that lead, but Benecke's been able to pull out just that little bit over Mitchell de Jong as they're going down this back straightaway. Kroenke can't quite get with those drivers in front, so he's just having to hold on to his position for the time being as they head into the right-hander at turn number 8. And here we go again, Filsell, de Jong. We've seen these two come to blows in that crazy minute that we had earlier on. Keeping it nice and clean for the time being. Filsell not making any rash moves at the moment, but it's Australia versus USA into turn number 1, and they're both trying to hook down the German and Max Benecke in front of them through turn 2. Again, I've kept on mentioning it, it's a tricky corner. The track just falls away from you through that corner as they go into 3 now, and it's all about just biding your time and making the best of your moment. And speaking of those people who are doing just that, Gregor Hutu behind Jamie Fluke, he's putting the pressure on now, and he's trying to improve his position up into 8th place. One thing we haven't mentioned, and we've got 7 minutes remaining in all of this, the race winner of this race gets $1,000. That's $1,000 in your pocket, with 2nd and 3rd getting $400 and $200. So that's why that first place, as well as the championship points, 100 championship points for the winner of this race, it's also the money. That's a little bit of an extra incentive for them here today. Look at this move now, Benito versus Carroll. to the outside. Benito can't make that move. Carroll's been putting on this masterful defensive display. We've seen him with these defensive exploits before in the past here. And through the right hand of the go. Still not able to go past as Benito with 6 minutes remaining in this race, Connor.
Yeah, so time starting to become a problem for drivers throughout the field, and Benito, again, one of those drivers that has had a pretty good day here today, especially compared to his escapades earlier on in the season. Of course, he missed out 2 rounds in the middle of the season as well, so that is not exactly ideal there for Benito. He missed out Mid-Ohio, he missed out Spa-Francorchamps as well, and in the races he did take part in, he only got a highest finish of 6th. The rest of them going to be top 10, outside the top 10 there for Enzo Benito. So if he wants to get his season back on track, then this could be the best place to be able to do so. Getting yourself inside the top 5 won't be a too shabby of a result at all, but for the Italian, it just means getting past Graham Carroll, and we know how hard it is to do exactly that. We saw that at the end of the sprint race here today, and Carroll will continue on his form in defense here up towards turn 8. So with about 5 minutes remaining, race lead very much undecided. The entirety of the podium still undecided. I wonder why we said that before.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we've had an incident coming out of turn number 6. It's Moritz Lerner who's been up and over. I can tell you that. Looking further down your order. And we'll get a look at this now on replay, and well, you can see the battered and bruised car of the Williams eSport driver of Lerner. It's coming out of this corner, and there it is, dink, that little contact, and all of a sudden 3 cars into 1. It doesn't go, and up and over goes Moritz, and that is end of day for that driver. Hard times for him, but he is down there on pit road out of this one. Looking forward to your race lead battle. Still 0.6 of a second between first and second, with De Jong second and third with Phil Sell. They're pretty close together. Looking further back, and it's still Benito not able to make any moves here for the time being in that 7th place. Actually, 6th place, sorry. Graphics just not quite right there just for the time being. They'll sort themselves out in a moment, but it's Benito 6th place, Carroll 5th place as they go through these final 2 corners, and they've got to sort themselves out. 27, that's Patrick Holtzman, the man who won the sprint race. He's having issues here, and he's having major problems. He's got damage, you saw on the front of the car from the instance earlier on, and I think he's got even more damage to that car because he's struggling and he's falling back through your field. So a bit of a nightmare considering how that first race went for him. And he's in 16th, coming under pressure from Kazuki and Mishima, and in fact runs wide. There goes Kazuki, and there goes Marcus Jensen as well around the outside of him. So it's just trying to get to the end of this race, I think, to Patrick, to get some points for the man who came into this week in 8th place in the championship, but he's been dropping down the field here today, so not an ideal one. But with 3 minutes remaining, Connery, really it's all about getting those moves and getting them sorted out, and Jared Filsell is the one looking most likely to make some moves.
It's all about managing gaps as well, and that's what Maximilian Benecke has been able to do in the race lead. Good pace from him. Of course, once he gets himself into this sort of position where he's able to manage the gap with the race lead, then he's one of the best around. But with Jared Filsell, Mitchell de Jong hot on his heels, they haven't really been gaining all that much over the past couple of laps. But again, exactly like you said, throughout this race, Paul, it's one mistake and all of a sudden you have everyone trying to pass you every which way. So Benecke can't rest on his laurels. He needs to be 100% focused all the way until the end of this race now. Mitchell de Jong, he has to be concerned ahead and behind here because Filsell has been looking very aggressive, especially up in towards that turn 5 and turn 6 section has been where Filsell has been particularly strong. He just hasn't been able to capitalize on that with a pass down in towards turn 8. We'll see it again coming up through turn 5 this time. Filsell not as aggressive as he has been previously. De Jong getting a little bit squirrely through the middle of the complex there. Just that front of that car just washing across the racing circuit, not able to grip up, but Phil Sell again not able to capitalize on that very fact. Here comes Enzo Benito on Graham Carroll though for P5 here on the way down the back straight, and Benito stepped out of line, I think a little bit too early there. And now he jets back in line, back out of line, looks for any move, but can't find anything there down into turn 8, and now that has allowed Martin Kroenke to get himself onto the back of this particular battle as well. So with about a minute remaining here, this will be the final lap here as they head their way across the line. White flag flying, and Beneke in the preferred seat, I should say, here at the front of this field. De Jong has to be very, very careful here if he wants to come home P2 or up.
Yeah, as they go through turn number 2 then for the final time in this race. It was about 10 seconds too late for them to get another lap into this one. So, Beneke at the front, Phil Sell putting the pressure on. Marin Cholak is an instant further down. He's spun. He's trying to get back up and away again, but he's dropping down the order. That's a nightmare for him after a really good run here. But looking forward in your field then, De Jong under intense pressure from Phil Sell. Are we going to see another last lap lunge move from Phil Sell and a change of position towards the end? Beneke's too far ahead of them for them to try and get the move done on him. So it's all about second place here in this battle as they come through turn number 8 now. Through that corner, the white flag is confirmed. It is the last lap, 9 and 10. So one more corner, and Max Beneke on round number 5 of the Porsche Esports Supercup is the winner in this feature race here today on the iRacing Esports Network.